Welcome to our channel History of Coins, where we explore the hidden gems of numismatics. In today's video, we're diving into the fascinating world of US 5-cent coins, as some of these coins are rare and can make you rich overnight. In this video, we are gonna uncover the rarest coins and their values. So make sure to watch the complete video and find out if you have one of these. Now let's continue our today's video. Top 1 today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating and sought-after coins in American history, the 1943 United States 5-cent coin, better known as the nickel. At first glance, it might seem like an ordinary coin, but stick with us, because what we're about to reveal is going to blow your mind. This nickel could be worth far more than its face value. And by the end of this video, you'll discover just how much a single 1943 5-cent coin could be worth in today's market. Let's start with a little bit of background. The 1943 nickel is special because of the unique circumstances surrounding its production. World War II was in full swing, and the U.S. government was looking for ways to conserve valuable metals for the war effort. As a result, the government made a decision to change the composition of several coins, including the 5-cent nickel. This decision would lead to the creation of one of the most important and rare coins in American numismatic history. During 1943, the U.S. Mint decided to strike nickels out of a completely different metal mix due to a shortage of nickel. Instead of the typical copper and nickel alloy, the 1943 nickel was made using 35% silver, 56% copper, and 9% manganese. The idea was to save nickel for the production of armaments, and the government needed to ensure that there was enough of it to continue fighting the war. This change in composition meant that 1943 nickels were not only unique in appearance but also had a distinctive weight and look compared to previous years. However, this wasn't the only factor that made the 1943 nickel special. There were also some minting errors that occurred, making some of these coins even rarer. These errors are what make certain 1943 nickels worth so much today. But first, let's talk about the most famous error that collectors go wild for, the 1943 copper nickel. It's hard to believe, but due to a minting mistake. A small number of 1,943 nickels were struck using the original copper-nickel alloy. This was a huge mistake, considering the wartime restrictions on nickel and the need for copper in ammunition production. Only a few of these wrong planchet coins were minted, and once they were discovered, they became one of the most coveted coins in the world. There are fewer than 10 known surviving examples of the 1943 copper-nickel, which makes them incredibly rare. So, what does this mean for collectors? Well, as you can imagine, the value of a 1943 copper-nickel has skyrocketed. In fact, if you happen to have one of these rare coins, it could be worth a small fortune. The fact that fewer than 10 of these coins are known to exist makes them a holy grail for coin collectors, and they frequently appear at high-end auctions fetching incredible prices. But even without these errors, the regular 1943 silver nickels are still quite valuable, especially in excellent condition. The key to determining the value of a 1943 nickel lies in its rarity, condition, and any possible minting errors. A standard 1943 silver nickel, which was minted in large quantities, may not be worth as much as the copper version, but it still holds considerable value, especially if it's in pristine, uncirculated condition. Coins that have been kept in excellent shape, with little to no wear, are highly prized by collectors because they are so difficult to find in such great condition. Another factor that influences the value of these coins is the market demand. As the years go by, the number of well-preserved 1943 nickels in circulation decreases, and demand for these coins only continues to rise. So, if you have one of these coins tucked away in your collection, it might be time to take a closer look at it and see if it could be worth much more than you thought. Now, let's talk about the most exciting part. How much is a 1943 nickel worth? If you have one of those extremely rare 1943 copper nickels, you could be sitting on a treasure that's worth up to $82,000. That's right, $82,000 for just one nickel. These coins have set records at auctions, and their value has only increased over the years as more collectors seek them out. If you're lucky enough to own one, it could be your ticket to a life-changing sum of money. Even if you don't have one of the copper versions, a well-preserved 1943 silver nickel can still fetch a nice price, especially if it's in uncirculated condition or has some unique characteristics. With the rarity of these coins, you might find that your 1943 nickel could be worth more than just a few dollars. So, how can you tell if you found a valuable 1943 nickel? Well, it starts with checking the composition. If it looks like a typical nickel, but it has a unique shine or appearance, it could be one of those rare copper versions. If it's the silver variety, check for any minting errors or unusual features that might set it apart from other coins. And of course, always pay close attention to the coin's condition. A coin that has been well preserved will always have more value than one that's been heavily circulated. Remember, the world of coin collecting is full of surprises. Sometimes, the smallest and most overlooked coins can be worth more than you ever imagined. The 1943 nickel is one of those coins. What might seem like an ordinary 5-cent piece could turn out to be a goldmine for any serious collector. Top 2, we're going to talk about a coin that might just be hiding in your collection right now, the 1973 United States 5-cent coin, more commonly known as the nickel. This coin might seem ordinary at first glance, but trust me, it has a lot more to offer than meets the eye. By the end of this video, you'll understand why the 1973 nickel could be worth a lot more than you think. And I'll be revealing the jaw-dropping amount it could fetch on the market today. Let's start with a little bit of history. The 1973 nickel is part of the Jefferson series, which has featured Thomas Jefferson on the obverse since 1938. On the reverse, you'll find the familiar image of Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia estate, an iconic symbol of American heritage. The design on the 1973 nickel looks very much like the nickels that came before it, but there's a reason why this particular year is of special interest to collectors. While this coin was produced in large quantities by the U.S. Mint, it's the unique factors surrounding the 1973 nickel that make it so valuable today. One of the biggest reasons why the 1973 nickel is gaining attention is its rarity and top-tier condition. As you may know, most coins that are put into circulation end up getting worn down over time. They get scratched, dinged, and show signs of use from years of transactions. But if you happen to find a 1973 nickel in excellent, uncirculated condition, one that has been carefully preserved and never used in commerce, then you're holding a true rarity. Coins that have been kept in pristine condition can be worth much more than their face value, and that's where the value of this nickel comes into play. Now, let's talk about another factor that makes the 1973 nickel especially interesting: minting errors. While minting mistakes can happen on any coin, it's these small, seemingly insignificant errors that can turn a standard coin into a collector's dream. The 1973 nickel is no exception. Some of these nickels have been found with errors like double strikes, misaligned dies, or even coins that are off-center. These errors happen when the machinery used to strike the coin doesn't function perfectly, and it can lead to unique and rare pieces that stand out from the rest. For example, imagine you have a 1973 nickel where the design was struck twice, creating a blurry or overlapping image. This kind of double strike is incredibly rare, and collectors will pay a premium for a coin that features such an unusual and distinctive feature. Similarly, if your 1973 nickel has a misaligned die, you might notice that the image on the coin is shifted, with parts of the design missing or off-center. These kinds of minting errors are highly prized by collectors because they are so uncommon. The beauty of these errors lies in their uniqueness. When you hold a coin with a minting mistake, you know that it's one of a kind. That's what collectors are after, something that stands out, something that's different from the thousands of other coins produced. So, if you happen to come across a 1973 nickel with any of these errors, you could have a real treasure on your hands. But what if your 1973 nickel doesn't have any minting errors, and it's in perfect condition? Well, don't worry, because this coin still has great potential value. The 1973 nickel, even without any errors, is considered a highly collectible coin. As with many coins, the key to its value is its condition. The more pristine and well-preserved the coin is, the higher the value. Collectors are constantly looking for coins that have been carefully stored and maintained, as these coins are harder to find in today's world of widespread circulation. So, how much could the 1973 nickel be worth? If you're holding on to one of these rare, uncirculated pieces, or even better, one with a minting error, you could be sitting on a fortune. The value of a 1973 nickel can vary depending on its condition, the rarity of any minting errors, and market demand. But here's the most exciting part: the right 1973 nickel could be worth as much as $78,000. Yes, $78,000 for just one nickel. That's right. This small coin could fetch a price that is far beyond what most people would expect for a 5-cent piece. And this isn't just speculation. Coins like this have been sold at auctions for high amounts, and the market for rare, error-filled, or well-preserved coins is growing. So, if you're a collector, or if you just happen to have a few old nickels lying around, it's worth taking a closer look at your 1973 pieces. But remember, the key to unlocking the value of a 1973 nickel is finding one that is in excellent condition or has a unique error. That's what separates the valuable coins from the ordinary ones. So, take the time to carefully examine your collection and look for any of those telltale signs of rarity or minting errors. You never know. Your next great find might be sitting right under your nose. To all the collectors out there, the 1973 nickel represents a great example of how rarity and condition can dramatically impact the value of a coin. And if you happen to find a 1973 nickel with a minting error or in pristine condition, you could be looking at a valuable addition to your collection that could fetch an incredible sum.so. What are you waiting for? Head over to your coin collection, take a closer look at that 1973 nickel, and who knows? You might just have a coin worth $78,000 waiting to be discovered. Top 3, we're diving deep into the world of the United States 5-cent coin from 1985. You might be thinking, 1985? That's not too far back. How valuable can it really be? Well, let me tell you, this particular nickel has some secrets hidden beneath its surface, and it could be worth far more than you ever imagined. Stick with us until the end, because we're going to reveal just how much this 1985 nickel could fetch in today's market. Now, let's start by setting the scene. The 1985 5-cent coin, part of the Jefferson nickel series, features a classic design. Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, and Monticello, his Virginia home, on the reverse. It's a coin that many people have handled at some point, but very few understand the potential value it could hold, especially if it's in the right condition or happens to have a rare error. The 1985 nickel might look like just another ordinary coin, but there's more to it than meets the eye. One of the key factors that make this coin valuable is its rarity and high-grade condition. As you probably know, coins that are in excellent, uncirculated condition are much harder to find than those that have been heavily circulated. When a coin is in pristine shape, free from scratches, tarnishing, or damage from everyday use, it's highly sought after by collectors. Most 1985 nickels were used in day-to-day transactions, which means they've experienced wear and tear. But if you happen to find one in mint condition, it's a gem in the world of coin collecting. But that's not all. There's another reason the 1985 nickel stands out. Minting errors. Some 1985 nickels were struck with unique characteristics, making them much rarer than the standard issue. These errors could range from simple misprints to more complex mistakes, and each one adds value to the coin. For instance, imagine you have a 1985 nickel that's been struck with a double die, a mistake where the design is stamped multiple times, creating a blurry or overlapping image. This kind of error can drastically increase the value of the coin, as it's something that's not commonly found in the market. Another type of error that collectors look for in the 1985 nickel is a misaligned die. This happens when the coin is not properly lined up during the striking process, causing parts of the design to be off-center or even missing. Such coins are highly desirable because they stand out from the normal, well-aligned coins that most people are familiar with. And just like the double die error, these misaligned die coins are much rarer than regular 1985 nickels, making them especially valuable. But it's not just the errors that make the 1985 nickel interesting. There's also the fact that coins from this era are becoming harder to find in high-quality condition as time goes on. With fewer well-preserved examples still in circulation, the demand for pristine 1985 nickels has been steadily rising. As the number of coins in excellent condition diminishes, their value only increases, making them more sought after by collectors around the world. Now, let's talk about why collectors are so keen on these rarities. For collectors, every coin has a story to tell, and finding a 1985 nickel with a rare error or in perfect condition can feel like uncovering a hidden treasure. The hunt for these coins is part of the thrill of coin collecting. Every time you find a rare coin, it's like unearthing a piece of history that's been waiting to be rediscovered. And when it comes to the 1985 nickel, it's a coin that has a lot of potential, especially if you know what to look for. So, what is the 1985 nickel worth? Well, the value can vary depending on the condition of the coin and whether it has any minting errors. A regular, circulated 1985 nickel may not be worth much more than its face value of 5 cents. But if you happen to have one that's in mint or near mint condition, the value can rise significantly. And if you find one with a rare error or unusual feature, the price tag can climb even higher. Here's the exciting part. The value of a well-preserved, error-free 1985 nickel or one with a minting flaw could be worth as much as $74,000. Yes, you heard that right. $74,000 for a single 5-cent coin. It's amazing to think that something as small and humble as a nickel could hold such a high value. But it just goes to show how the world of coin collecting can be full of surprises. Finding a 1985 nickel with the right characteristics could be your ticket to an unexpected fortune. Whether it's a rare error or simply an uncirculated example that has been carefully preserved, this coin could become a prized part of your collection. And with the growing interest in rare coins, the value of such pieces is only going to increase over time. So, if you happen to have one of these coins in your collection or stumble upon one in your coin hunting adventures, make sure you take a closer look. It could be worth far more than you ever imagined. To all the collectors out there, the 1985 nickel represents yet another example of how seemingly ordinary coins can become extraordinary treasures. The thrill of finding a rare coin or one with an interesting minting error is what makes this hobby so exciting. And who knows, your next great discovery could be hiding in your coin jar right now. We're diving into a coin that might be hiding in your collection or even in your change jar right now. We're talking about the United States 5-cent coin from 1994, also known as the Jefferson nickel. It may seem like just another regular nickel, but trust me, there's much more to this coin than meets the eye. This particular year is one of those coins that collectors have their eye on, and there's a good reason for it. So, stay with us until the end of this video, where we'll reveal just how much this 1994 nickel could actually be worth today. Let's start by taking a closer look at the design. The 1994 nickel features the familiar image of Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, on the obverse, as is typical for the Jefferson nickel series. On the reverse, you'll find the iconic Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia home, which has appeared on the nickel for decades. The design has remained relatively unchanged for years, but the true value of the 1994 nickel doesn't lie just in its appearance. It's the rarity and the potential for minting errors that make this coin a hidden gem. First, let's talk about rarity. Coins that are in excellent condition are always more valuable than those that have been heavily circulated. In 1994, millions of these nickels were produced, and most of them were used in daily transactions, meaning they were subject to wear and tear. Over time, many of these coins got scratched, faded, or became otherwise damaged through regular use. However, if you happen to have one of these 1,994 nickels in pristine, uncirculated condition, you're holding onto a real treasure. These well-preserved coins are harder to find, and as time passes, their value only increases. Collectors are always on the lookout for coins that have been kept in mint condition, and the 1994 nickel is no exception. But the rarity doesn't stop there. The 1994 nickel, like many other coins, is sometimes found with unique minting errors. These errors can make a seemingly ordinary coin stand out in the world of coin collecting, and they can significantly increase its value. For example, one of the most common minting errors that collectors look for is the double die error. This happens when a coin is struck more than once, creating an overlapping or doubled image on the coin's design. If you come across a 1994 nickel with a double die error, you've found a rare gem, and collectors would be eager to get their hands on it. Another type of error that can make a 1994 nickel worth more is a misaligned die. This occurs when the coin is not properly aligned during the striking process, causing parts of the design to be shifted or missing. A misaligned die error can create an interesting and unusual look for the coin, which is exactly what collectors are after. These types of minting errors are highly sought after because they are so rare and distinctive. In addition to these specific errors, there are also general characteristics that can make a 1994 nickel more valuable. The key is always the condition. A nickel that has been stored properly and kept in a safe, dry place will naturally have a higher value than one that has been exposed to the elements. Coins that are well preserved often fetch much higher prices at auctions, and the 1994 nickel is no different. So, if you have any of these nickels lying around, it's worth taking a closer look to see if it's in mint condition. Now, let's talk about the value of the 1994 nickel. You might be surprised to learn that this coin, while common in circulation, can actually be worth a significant amount of money. especially if it's in excellent condition or has a rare minting error. Coins like these are highly sought after by collectors because they represent a snapshot of U.S. history, but also because of their rarity and the thrill of finding a unique specimen. So, what is the actual worth of a 1994 nickel? Well, if you have a 1994 nickel in uncirculated condition, or even better, one with a minting error like a double die or misaligned die, you could be looking at a price that's much higher than the face value of 5 cents. In fact, some of these 1994 nickels have been known to sell for as much as $72,000. Yes, that's $72,000 for a single nickel. Imagine that. Something as small and seemingly insignificant as a 5-cent coin could hold that kind of value. This is the beauty of coin collecting, the potential for discovering something valuable when you least expect it. A single coin, sitting quietly in your collection or change jar, could turn out to be a rare and valuable find. And if you've got one of these 1994 nickels with the right characteristics, you might just be sitting on a small fortune. To sum it all up, the 1994 Jefferson nickel may seem like a simple, everyday coin, but it has a lot more to offer than you might think. From its pristine, uncirculated condition to its potential for minting errors like double dies or misaligned dies, this coin is one that every collector should keep an eye on. With the right 1994 nickel, you could be holding a coin worth $72,000, which is an incredible amount for something so small. So, if you have a 1994 nickel in your collection, it's time to take a closer look. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, this is a coin you won't want to miss. Keep searching, keep collecting, and who knows? The next great find could be waiting for you in your very own collection. Top 5. We're going to dive deep into the world of the United States 5-cent coin from the year 2000. That's right, the 2000 nickel. At first glance, it might seem like just another coin, but believe me, this particular nickel holds a lot of potential for those who know what to look for. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you might just be looking at this coin in a whole new light. The 2005-cent coin is part of the Jefferson nickel series, a long-standing line of coins that have been part of American currency for decades. On the obverse, you'll find a classic portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, while on the reverse, you'll see the iconic Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia home. It's a design that has withstood the test of time. However, there's more to this coin than just its aesthetic design. The real story lies in its rarity, its potential for errors, and the remarkable value that a well-preserved 2000 nickel can fetch. Let's start by talking about condition. Like any other coin, the 2000 nickel's value is heavily influenced by its condition. The majority of the nickels minted in 2000 were circulated widely, which means that most of them have been worn down over time. They've seen countless transactions, been exposed to the elements, and are generally not in pristine condition. However, it's important to remember that a coin's value rises exponentially when it's in excellent, uncirculated condition. If you happen to have a 2000 nickel that has been carefully preserved and shows little to no wear, you're holding onto a rare gem. These coins, in near mint or mint condition, are harder to come by as the years go on, and that rarity makes them valuable. In fact, collectors are always on the lookout for well-preserved coins from specific years, and the 2000 nickel has caught the attention of many because of the potential for significant returns. But that's not all. The real intrigue with the 2000 nickel lies in the possibility of minting errors. These mistakes, although rare, can make a coin worth far more than its face value. One of the most common types of errors that collectors seek in nickels is the double die error. This occurs when a coin is struck multiple times, causing a design element to appear doubled or misaligned. In the case of the 2000 nickel, if you find a coin with a double die, you've found something incredibly valuable. This error is often subtle, but when you look closely at the details, you can see the telltale signs of a doubled image, sometimes on Jefferson's portrait, or perhaps on the date or Monticello on the reverse. Another important minting error to be aware of is the misaligned die. This occurs when the coin isn't properly aligned during the minting process, causing the design to be off-center or misprinted. For the 2000 nickel, a misaligned die could result in a partial image or even an off-center strike, making the coin even more interesting and valuable to collectors. These misaligned die coins are a true rarity, and when they appear, collectors are eager to snatch them up because they are so unique. The 2000 nickel is also notable for its position in U.S. coin history. Coins from this era, particularly the turn of the millennium, are becoming more difficult to find in mint condition. As time passes, these coins are either worn down from use or are lost in the shuffle, making the well-preserved ones more valuable. Not to mention, coins from this time period have become a part of the broader narrative of U.S. currency, and collectors love to have a piece of that history in their collection. But what makes the 2000 nickel even more intriguing is its potential for future value. As more and more of these coins are taken out of circulation and stored away, the number of available coins in excellent condition shrinks. This makes them more desirable, and when a coin like this is rare in top condition, its value can skyrocket. Now, let's get to the exciting part. How much is a 2000 nickel really worth? Of course, a regular, circulated 2000 nickel isn't going to bring you much more than its face value of 5 cents. But if you happen to have a pristine, uncirculated 2000 nickel, or better yet, one with a minting error like a double die or misaligned die, the value can increase dramatically. A 2000 nickel with the right characteristics could fetch an incredible price, and we're talking about an amount that might surprise you. Are you ready for it? A 2000 nickel in excellent condition, or one with a rare minting error, could be worth as much as $70,000. Yes, $70,000 for a single nickel. It's hard to believe, but the world of coin collecting is full of surprises like this. That small 5-cent coin could be worth far more than you ever imagined, especially if you know what to look for. So, if you have a 2000 nickel in your collection or come across one in your spare change, it's time to take a closer look. If it's in uncirculated condition, or if you spot any errors like a double die or misaligned die, you may have a valuable piece of history right in your hands. With the growing demand for rare and pristine coins, it's only a matter of time before the value of these coins continues to rise. Whether you're an experienced collector or just starting out, the 2000 nickel is a coin worth keeping an eye on. Who knows? The next time you get change, that simple nickel might just be the one to make you a small fortune. Thanks for tuning into today's video. If you enjoy learning about the 2000 nickel and want to find out more about other rare and valuable coins, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss out on future discoveries. Happy collecting, and keep searching for those hidden treasures.